So, you want your boom operator to be able to talk back to the mixer, but not over the boom mic itself, so that the camera hop and everybody that's listening in on the mix can hear what's going on. We don't want that. But we've got you covered with really cheap DIY push-to-talk microphones. So let's get into it. So we're starting with a surveillance mic. These are meant to be used so that you have an earpiece with like a Motorola or some other brand of walkie-talkie or radios. And each, of course, has a specific end for each of the different styles of radio that they're intended to plug into. But we really don't care because we're going to be cutting this off. What we're really interested in is just this piece here, which has the push-to-talk button, but also has a built-in microphone in the device. Okay, so we're going to take this and go all the way back to as far as the plug and say sayonara to that plug. We're just going to cut it off. Now, these are pretty cheap. They were a package of 2 for $40 on Amazon, so not a lot of money there. And then we're going to just take this and we can give it to the props department so that they can have, they got some scene where they got a secret agent man and they need a earpiece. Well, they can use that. Okay, so we've got our push-to-talk microphone. The brand name is KCTIN, whatever that means. And we've cut off the old plug, and now we're just left with the one single line and the push-to-talk button and the built-in microphone end. And we're going to strip back the wires here. And then, as I mentioned earlier, I tried those locking TRS plugs, but they're too small to be easily soldered with the gear that I got. So I'm just going to use this TRS plug, which is a leftover. I'm going to strip back the wires, and I'm basically just going to solder the wires together. Okay. So careful not to cut through any of the interior wires, just trying to get the sheath off of that. And when we see what's inside of this, we've got a bare multi-stranded ground wire. And then we've got 2 plastic coated wires, one white for the left channel, one red for the right channel. And I'm just going to strip some more of that back, expose some of those leads. And then we're going to check the polarity on these. Now, typically, if this follows the proper convention, we've got our TRS plug, tip, ring, and sleeve in that order. And tip is connected to the white wire, ring for right is connected to the red wire, and sleeve is the ground. Okay, and we can prove that by, okay, and we're just going to put that on continuity mode with the beep. And if I hold to the white, you can see nothing on sleeve, nothing on ring, but contact on tip. If we go to the red now, nothing on tip, nothing on sleeve, but we got contact on the ring. And then if we connect to our ground wire, sleeve, nothing on ring, nothing on tip. So we've proven that that is following the proper convention. Tip left, ring right, and ground on sleeve. Okay, now we're going to strip back this wire off of this, and this one's a little trickier because the wires that are inside of this are very fine and delicate, and this external sheath is kind of really rubbery. So I'm just going to score this outer rubber insulator, and then I'm going to just bend it over and score it a little more, bend it back the other way, And that should be enough to allow me to tear that off pretty easy. And then what we've got there is a couple of pieces of reinforcement string, which we're going to cut away. We don't need that in the way. Okay. And we're left with two wires. One is green and one is blue, and these are encapsulated in some form of resin or plastic that keeps the two wires from shorting each other out. But definitely need to get rid of that somehow, and I find the easiest way is just to burn it back a little bit. It'll burn off quite nicely and expose our copper conductor. And then I also like to take the edge of the knife and just give that a little bit of scrape. It just roughens the copper up just a little bit and takes some of the soot that forms when you burn that back and gets rid of that, so that we've got a little bit better of a chance for that to actually conduct properly. Okay, I'm just going to twist those up now. So now the question is, which wires go where, right? So we've got, I'll do a little bit of a close-up. Let me put these down, and then I'll do a little bit of a better close-up with the camera here. So we can see on our TRS plug side, we've got our white, yellow, and bare ground. And on the surveillance mic side, the contact switch, it's just two wires. There's a little green, and it's kind of hard to see in the light here, but green and blue. Okay. So we got two wires on one side, three wires on the other side, and now we got to connect them up. Okay, so with a little bit of trial and error to figure out which is sort of positive or negative on the microphone switch side of the equation, I had to play around a little bit. And what I determined is green is not ground. It is actually positive on this one. And we're going to wire that to the white wire. And then we take the red and the ground and we twist them together. Because we have a stereo plug and we have a mono microphone, we're going to twist ground and right channel together, and then we're going to put the blue to the red ground and the green to the white. So I'm just going to prep with a little bit of heat shrink here. So those are about 1/2 to 5/8 of an inch. These are a little bit closer to an inch, and then I want about 3 inches of that large red stuff. That out of the way. Okay. So before I do anything, I'm going to slip one of the 1-inch pieces over everything and back down the line. I'll take another 1-inch piece and I'm going to go way back over that. And then I'll slip the shorter ones over the wires that I'm about to solder. Okay. Now that I got all that done, I can twist all my wires together. So again, green on the microphone push the button switch is going to go to white. So let's twist those two together. And then turn on the soldering iron, let that come up to temperature. Put a little flux on these wires. And we're just going to tin those up and solder them all together. Get a good dab on there. There we go. Okay, that's it for the soldering iron. And now I'll just take those, and now that they're tinned up, I can snip back a bunch of the excess that we really don't need. And now we'll fit those smaller pieces of heat shrink over the solder joint. And there we have it. Okay, so now that's still pretty a little warm, but that'll cool down. So there we have now our microphone with push to talk, now wired into a TRS, which we can now wire into our wireless transmitter, or plug into our wireless transmitter and have our push to talk functionality. So let's go give it a test. Okay, so we've got our boom mic going here, but we're going to switch from the boom mic now to this. Test 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now I'm back on boom here, but if we didn't have the polarity right, it would click in and you'd be able to hear it, but only just barely. So when we can hear it at good volume, we know they have the polarity is correct. And this concludes our test. And so there you have it, bidirectional crew communications. So the boom op and the utility are both going to be listening in to the mix from the mixer on a dedicated IFB that's dedicated to the audio crew, so that only the audio crew is listening in on this conversation. And then very economical, 2 for $40. These surveillance mics that we've modified now, put the TRS connector on it in order to be able to plug it into a transmitter and send that back to the boom mixer, who has that on a dedicated channel, and that also feeds back out into these IFBs for the audio crew, so that the boom op, the audio mixer, and the utility all get to listen in on the conversation. And of course, we don't have to listen to them all the time. If they're doing something exerting, we don't have to listen to them huffing and puffing. It's only when they push to talk. Also, you can notice that when I'm pushing the button here, we're getting a little bit of a pop and a click every time that button gets pushed. So that's kind of normal for these cheap surveillance mics. But it could also now be used as nonverbal communication if you have to very quickly get a yes or no back to the audio mixer, but you don't really want to be talking on set. It could be in the middle of a take. It's very easy to just 1 click for yes or 2 clicks for no. And no one else other than the mixer and the audio crew is going to hear that. Okay, so that's it for this video. Thanks for watching. And remember, when you get out there, don't make a big noise. Make good sound. Thanks a lot for watching.